Very good.
Very good.
Nicely to have all of you here. It's weird because I am hosting this and
Yes,
not
you are.
hosting this. I'm really not hosting this. It's really it's weird.
Yeah. We're like, hey, Cleve, do you want to do a stream? You want to host a stream with us?
I mean, well, okay,
Yes.
fine. If you ask, I would
Yeah.
not turn it down.
Guest host.
I will not turn it down. It's weird. It's anyway, folks, everyone. This is Anton, and this is
John.
John, these folks are from Media Molecule. They're hanging out, and I'm hanging out at PlayStation Experience 2015. And this, what you're watching right now, is Dreams. Dreams is gorgeous. I'm so excited. I have been talking bugging people everywhere I can possibly go to say I want to see if I can get a hands-on with this and mess around
Yeah,
with
so
it.
whatever you're interested in, or like whatever people in the chat want to kind of see, we can wing it as we go. We've been demoing kind of the create tools, but we're also demoing some gameplay that we've been showing in Paris as well. So you mentioned that you're kind of interested in more the tool side of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we John put together this kind of collection of items that he could use to kind of replicate and make a fuller scene out of.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of one of the easier ways to create. He's made these modules that almost like if you ever play Carcassonne,
yes.
they kind of stick together.
Yeah.
And it's about, I think it's saying about 20 pieces.
Yeah, it's about 20 pieces.
Yeah, but they all they're modular enough to stick together, but they're unique enough to create stuff that isn't just copy-paste.
So, because I saw you took that section of the waterfall that was already flowing in and of itself. It had a piece that was already there flowing.
Yeah.
Can you detach that for the folks at home just so they can see that again?
Oh yeah, just do another copy of those.
Yeah, or that. So that one section is a section in and of itself.
Yeah. So and it's composed of sections within sections within sections. So like, the tree is maybe made up of a few pieces, and you say, okay, I want that to be a group, and then you say, oh, this tree and this river is a group. So, and you it turtles all the way down, sort of, as they say. And so that water is a painted piece of water, so it's not like a fluid sim.
Yeah.
And that's actually an interesting win. Like, at first you think, oh, we want to do like a full fluid sim, but it turns out that with a full fluid sim, that river would just go crazy and it would like overflow and whatever. But if you have a painted river, you could just kind of copy it and it looks good. And unless your gameplay is about the water itself, like that's actually what you want.
So that was a decision that was made to say, you know what, we would do a kind of all physics based kind of thing, but we decided that this would definitely kind of make the pieces.
I won't pretend like it's not easier. But I think the reality is like it's very easy for us as programmers, especially like Alex and Anton and Simon, who are like the graphics people.
Right.
Like they get excited about that kind of stuff.
Right.
But frankly, we only have a few people, and so like we have to choose what it is we work on.
Yeah.
So when you ask like Alex, he's like, oh yeah, I'd love to do a particle fluid sim, but there's lots of other things he could do, and actually this water works really well. So like let's just do that later, if ever or whatever. Like so it's a
the beautiful part that before we got to this section was just the fact that I almost missed it.
Yeah. You didn't.
Where it was flowing through, and I was like, oh wait a minute, so that just connected to that, and it looks seamless in the way that it is, and I love the way that everything kind of sparkles and glows and makes it feel. Yeah,
we try to make it all kind of stick together, so that kind of all the pieces. Like the one advantage of doing it all kind of in engine is that we get all of the art fits. If you take assets from the internet. Oftentimes they're made in different packages, or they may, maybe the textures were painted in Photoshop, or these textures were, well, actually all textures are pretty much painted in Photoshop these days, but like maybe the normals were done with ZBrush versus like, I don't know, Modo or something. So it doesn't always look right, and you don't really know why, like 'cause the assets don't fit. So it's a big thing actually in traditional games to like slot everything together and give it a cohesive look. But one advantage we have here is it's all made in the same tool, so like we get a bonus to cohesion, which means we get reusability, which means you can use content that other people made, or you make content and other people use it. So there's like this huge like social part of it where people can freely remix, and like it's almost like hip hop sampling. Like we're trying to hit that level of reuse. And it's going to be interesting to see what the community does with it.
Yeah.
Because we've seen people from LBP community say, like, we don't want to have copy level because I don't want someone to just take my whole level.
Right.
But probably you
Don't
almost always
Kanye
want.
my level.
Yeah, like like I remixed it, like I added my name on it.
Yeah.
So that's not the good kind of sampling, right? But like if somebody likes to use John's rock as like an eyeball or something, that's cool. Like I don't think anyone would be like, no, you can't use my rock.
Right.
Like you'd want it. So it's finding that line, like where is sampling cool, where is it? It's super gray.
I mean, I wonder even if, and this is not me playing game dev because it's told you would never want me to do that. But I wonder as well if there's like a way to attribute something to.
There is, yeah. Every one of these is automatically attributed to whoever made it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like if you take one of these pieces and then you use it in your level, the attribution for that piece is given to John. So like there's an automatic list of credits. And it's like, made by Khalif. Oh, but assets by John and music by blah. Like,
that's okay.
So you get that actually not even auto-generate, like it's forced because like we don't want you to be like, no, actually I made it all. It's like, no, you're getting those credits. It's still a bit gray because it's like, how do you judge that? Like if John spent 3 hours making this tree,
right,
and you spent, you took his tree and you just made 3 of them, like, whose credit is it really? Like, is it that? And it's vague, right? Because if Picasso put 3 trees together, it's probably like the best tree arrangement ever. And yeah, it doesn't matter he did it in 2 seconds and it's 3 edits or whatever.
Right.
But if somebody random online who's never created anything just puts a tree down and says, nope, that's my tree now, it's like, well, you didn't really do anything. So it's like, we need to figure out a way.
There's some in-between spaces in there that I'm happy. Well, one, I'm happy that you're all thinking about it in those ways, because I see in Little Big Planet, the LBP Me kind of universe that was there, that kind of showed all the little tidbits and all the parts that kind of went together, and this is kind of being even fleshed out more here.
Yeah.
Can John kind of give us a little bit of insight into what we're seeing here in the bubble kind of UI and structure?
By the way, on the stream, so John, we've been wrestling with John's head.
That's true.
I'll explain it. So this is a collection that John made. So one of the key ways of organizing assets we have is these collections. So it's a bit like a folder on your PC. Like, here's where I put all my lolcats or whatever. And like, I have a lolcats folder just in case. And so, so he's made a collection that he called like Redwood, which he's using here for putting together these scenes.
Okay.
And they're free to make. Like, you just say, oh, these 3 things, let's put them in a collection. And so that's a really good way of organizing content that you find on on search or whatever. So as you search through stuff, maybe you're building a forest, but you see like a really cool motorcycle and you're like, oh yeah, I want to use that later.
Okay.
So you're like, okay, add that to my favorites, or maybe you want to be more specific and say add that to my vehicles collection or whatever.
I'm sorry, that's ridiculously adorable.
Yeah.
Because it went from what up to like hi. Yeah, well, like, what up? See, that was the Bronx Bear version. I think that's
wrong answer.
That was the Kanye "Don't Steal My Samples" version of that bear.
What?
But the collections you would go through and you would see other things that you may see.
Feel free to just walk around. We'll just chat. Yeah, just run around because people like also just show the imp bits and stuff. The imp like mimics your.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my.
Oh. The imp is giving so much shade right now. So much shade from the imp.
Yeah, so I think the collections is a really good way. It's a bit like Pinterest boards, right? So like, there's kind of 2 philosophies to search. One is almost like the Google Bing aggregation style, like the machine or by learning you get a search result. But the other one is more like the Pinterest or Instagram kind of thing of the people curate it, and it's less algorithmic, and it's more just people taste.
Okay.
And so we're hitting that. Partly for practical reasons, because it's really actually hard to write a search engine. Google's very big.
I'm sure.
But it's quite, in a way, it's a bit more human too. Like, because people will make collections that aren't just vehicles. It could be like sci-fi bits, and it could have vehicles in it, and houses, and maybe lights. So it's kind of a good way for us. Like, you could actually just be a curator in Dreams, because if you imagine this, right now we have only a few artists in the studio working comparatively, right? And we already have like something like 10 or 15,000 dreams made, like pieces and levels.
Wow.
And that's just over the past like year and a half or so where the UI has been stable.
That's crazy.
So like, basically we have to plan that day one, the community is going to crank out essentially a fire hose of stuff.
Right.
And actually it's going to be a really valuable and I don't want to like role to actually look through stuff and be like, oh, I am a curator.
Okay.
You know, and so you don't actually like it's a form of creativity, like putting things together. Like I'm gonna make the desert theme, or I'm gonna find all the characters that sit well together, or whatever. So
I mean, I think that was a thing. We spoke about this at a conference earlier in the year. I'm wondering if that was okay.
Oh no, it's
I'm not
fine.
sure.
It's just I think it just goes to sleep.
And we talked about that a little bit earlier in the year when we first met, and it was about kind of there's this in between space that we found in the Little Big Planet community where there were the Uber makers, there were the Uber consumers, and then there was a kind of a middle space that didn't necessarily kind of figure out a way to necessarily find itself out. It was still trying to figure out that gray space. And it sounds like the curator part of Dreams will absolutely kind of satisfy that gray space.
Yeah, I think it's a good way of putting it, actually, because I hadn't thought of it that way. But yeah, we want to give you an outlet, whatever it is that you're good at.
Yeah.
And we kind of fundamentally believe that everyone is good at something. Like that's in a creative way. Like playing is, it can be in some ways creative, but like playing is the consuming act of it.
Okay.
But then when people think about creating, they think about sculpting, and they think about like very artistic. Yeah, go crazy, John.
Do it,
I'm
John.
gonna go a little crazy right
Make
now.
Make it happen, John. I love how John gets to be the mad scientist in the background. Like we could be talking about.
I'm just gonna go off. That's fine. The pear, man. Never mind. So yeah, like I think, whatever it is, you don't have to think of creation as sculpting or even making a full game or making a piece of music or whatever. Like you could actually like curating is a very creative task. Like or like people Twitch streaming. Like that's a creative activity.
Yeah.
You're not making the video, but you're making a sort of I don't know what's the correct word, commentator.
Yes, and
that's super important because it's like it's good for bringing the community together, and it's like the glue that sort of holds us together. So we want to make sure that those people have things that they can do to participate. So like streaming is going to be a big part of it.
Yes.
Like
it's gonna. I mean, I think the streaming aspect of it. We talked about this on one of the earlier episodes in the year on Spawn on Me, was talking about Dreams in the aspect of Twitch. And how I personally believe that Dreams is going to be a thing that changes the way Twitch is actually consumed.
In what way?
I think that it's going to bring this kind of... We already have this section of the community in Twitch that is consuming just by watching and looking. And we've also seen that on the PS4 especially, we've seen a couple of games kind of have the Twitch integration kind of be a part of that.
Oh, yeah, with like the voting. And
with like voting and things like that. And there's a section in between there, between where you've seen games like...
there was that one where it was like literally you can make levels for people.
Right. Gosh, why can't I think of it? It's not in my head.
I feel bad. I played that on the stream with Ben.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But in this kind of aspect, I think it's going to be different in the way that we talked about Bob Ross a little bit earlier. And folks kind of like, make that thing, but you can't make it.
Yeah.
Because Bob has already made it 20 years ago. This is the new version of that where we see... I have an idea. Maybe we can make that. And it'll be interesting to see, because you have a lot of parts of the artistic community on Twitch that are already sculpting, already drawing, already doing those kinds of artistic things. But now there's a digital tool to do that for folks who who don't have that tool set. They now have a new way of kind of going through it through this means and through this game.
Sharing is such a big part of the digital. Like Bob was so ahead of his time, man. We were like in the studio.
I mean, look at all the happy little clouds here.
Yeah, right.
Look at all the happy little trees. Shout out to
I was showing it because Bob is not big in England, and I was in England. Like they know him, but
Bob
like
wasn't really big in the U.S. either until there was a whole other discussion about
But I was over in the studio, and like when the Bob Ross like Twitch thing came up, and I was like showing people in the studio like, hey, this is Bob Ross, and at first I was like, haha, like this is like Twitch blowing up over this. Whatever, like that's the meme of it. But then I realized like this is so modern in what he was doing then.
Right.
Because it's like a video of someone creating. That's bizarre. Right. And then he's like talking to the audience. He's like totally one way, but then he reads letters.
Yep.
And it's like, it's almost like the pre-Twitch Twitch.
It was an interesting. The weird thing about we're going to start talking about Bob Ross and that actually. the philosophical side of Bob Ross and what he did to the medium of Twitch is. I think again it was that pre kind of idea that because he didn't necessarily teach either. It wasn't a lesson that he was doing every show.
True.
It was more about, I'm doing this thing and I want you to observe it, but I also want you to know that you can.
Yeah,
and I think
that's true.
Dreams
It's very
has
subtle.
that aspect as well, where you see, and I think it'll spawn out in the same way that we saw the Mario Maker kind of community kind of blossom in the past 6 months.
I haven't been following. I've been meaning to check it out, but I haven't like slept.
So the cool thing about the Mario Maker community has been that you have all these pre-made things. You have like the pre-made assets that will pop in and out of a level. There's been different factions in those communities. Shout out to Grand Pooh Bear who's out there, who's a big dude on Twitch for that. Where folks have either gone into the kind of artistic route in which you can make a Mario level.
Yep.
Or they've gone to the speedrunner kind of route, or they make a really hard level so then other people can kind of beat it level.
Yeah, okay, so there's
like factions in that. So I can see in Dreams as well where we'd have not necessarily people making levels that would be hard, but you would say, let's use folks in the community who are talking through our stream and through our Twitch, our chat, and say, what would you like this scene to be? Can you help me make this scene in the way that I want to envision it? And I think that would be something that, for me as a person who's super excited about the game, that I would love to see kind of manifest itself.
Yeah, we're playing with a weird concept right now. It's like, so we in Dreams, it's always been the case that we could have people in the scene with you watching. So like somebody can, the server's down there, like that were used portably. It's that little box. No, the servers.
Everyone almost freaked out.
So like, there's only one LAN cable because it's obviously a portable box. But like, if you were to jack in another PS4, you could just go into the scene and you can see John's imps moving and creating the level in real time.
That would be amazing.
And it's a bit like Demon Souls-esque. So
you have been invaded by Kanye Bear.
Yeah, you've been invaded in your creation. Yeah, I still think the first one's like the most dreadful. But anyway, so like it's an interesting. So you're saying you can be on the stream and you can have people kind of pitch in ideas.
Yes.
But actually, they could also be in the level, and they could actually. You can give them, for example, permission. Like we have the light painting tool. I don't know if is that still in there. If you is it? Oh yeah, it's that last one. Yeah. So we have this tool that lets you light paint. It doesn't stick around right now, but this is kind of one of our ways of communicating.
That's
so you
awesome.
could write, and you could like circle this rock and be like, I don't like this rock.
Yeah.
Kareem always thinks of it almost like there's people. It's full 3D. It's quite like Kareem's our art director, so he kind of imagines going into the level and just saying this thing, like no out.
Oh, okay.
Or
okay,
this bit,
okay.
yeah, I like this bit, keep it. But
it's like the meanest teacher ever.
But it's in pink,
but
so
it's
like
in pink,
it really
so it's cool. It's not that bad. It's in pink. It's fine. This is all wrong.
Yeah.
this rock. This rock is all wrong. No one likes this rock.
But I could kind of imagine people in Twitch like getting some like maybe they don't have the permission. Like John says, "Oh, I don't want you to like metal."
Sure.
But give them the light paint, and they can go in and like almost Demon Souls style.
Which would be
like,
awesome. Yeah.
Mark this and be like, or please make me a road here.
Right.
It's actually one of the things we noticed very quickly is that you need to like you point a lot. Like,
that's true.
And if you just try and type or even voice, it's sometimes you just want to say, "Oh, I want to add a tree over there." Like, where is over there?
Right.
Oh, by the rock. On the left or the
right, right.
So it's a huge. But if you could just say there or that,
that's the thing.
It's like so 3D input like solves a lot of these things. So it's interesting if we can merge, like, obviously the straight up spectator version is cool, but then also, I don't know, like the full spectator version is interesting because you can have thousands and thousands of people watching. I don't know how many people we can log into one dream, but probably not thousands and thousands.
Okay.
Not in the same.
Not at the same time.
Not in the same place anyway. Maybe it'll be like Demon Souls where it's like more instancing, so you see some. I don't know, but so we don't know yet.
Maybe people kind of shadowing through your dream and
something like that.
Okay.
But it's still the other more interesting, newer thing is like the live collaboration, having multiple people in the same place, potentially creating. We're still playing with what level of kind of permissions we can give people.
Yeah.
But one of the things we're trying to do is munge the play and create. So people keep asking us, like, what's our game?
Okay.
And, we're going to have a game you can play through, like a traditional game.
Sure.
But one of the key technical decisions that's a bit like it sort of takes a bit of time to digest. But there is actually, on the tech side, no difference between play and create.
Huh.
So it's not that Little Big Planet was very much I'm now creating, and then I hit play, and then I'm playing. And we still have like a play button in the game just to kind of get people over that, because there's a mental hump. But actually, all create mode is no rules play.
Okay.
So as a creator, you can say, okay, in my level, I'm actually going to restrict search. But that's it.
Okay.
So you can do whatever you want. You can pick objects. You can sculpt new objects.
Huh.
So you just restrict that one feature, which is search. It's a huge feature. Like, you can't bring in whatever.
Yeah.
But you can still make anything you want. You can still clone objects. So you can kind of say, well, John can allow people only to place trees.
Okay.
And so he's doing everything, but you get to do the trees.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So like you can have Twitch people come in and they can play some. So these are all like the things that.
Oh, these are all meta games in the actual game.
Yeah, trying to kick around
of a game that people can be super meta in.
Yeah. So.
I know that you talked a little bit about. You did a great job at the VR panel today.
Oh, thanks.
Earlier in the day, I went and hung out and saw that, and you were great.
Yeah.
And I know that you guys had all talked about VR and Dreams in some form or fashion. That there may be some connective tissue.
Yeah,
there.
we definitely want to do VR. It's pretty much like obvious.
Yeah.
In a way. People say like, "Oh, Morpheus, God of Dreams and Dreams." It's like actually accidental, but cool.
Yeah.
But also.
No,
like,
but better.
No, but yeah. No, so it's I think. Yeah, we're gonna do it. It's a research problem. Like we just need to finish some stuff before we can.
Yeah.
We have the dev kits on our desk, so we just need to like sit down and do it.
I mean, you are pretty familiar with
we know
with the PlayStation
actually,
VR hardware.
Yeah. we've done it a few times.
A little bit.
But I think it's the engine is really interesting too. So there's some challenges that we need to address, but we also get really crazy, strange advantages that other people don't have, because the whole thing is not made of polygons. The whole thing is it's done on the compute shader, is what it's called. But you can think of it almost like software rendering. Like there's a GPU in the PS4.
Sure.
And the GPU, like I don't know how much you know about like the rendering, but it basically draws triangles with textures on them. That's what they call polys, right? But just basically, at its core, rendering millions and millions of triangles. Like that's what all modern games are. Is just a lot of triangles, because triangles are useful. But like whatever, this game does not use triangles at all. So it's kind of weird, because the last, I don't know, 15 years of GPU development has been
around
more triangles, faster triangles, less jaggy triangles.
So you're breaking,
and we're just like, no, we're not going to do any triangles. Because in the latest hardware, one of the new things that came out is this idea of like, well, we have all this great triangle hardware, but actually if we add a few bits, it could actually be used as a general purpose CPU.
Okay.
So anyway, all of that, the reason I say that is because a lot of techniques in VR are actually there to deal with the fact that you're drawing triangles, and we aren't. So we can do weird stuff that makes us like we can do the distortion better, for example. Because there's no triangles to distort. So there's weirdnesses. I think like Alex's talks about it in some places, but yeah. So we need to sort all of those bits out and how that's going to work. But when it's done, the big win I think is being able to make stuff in VR.
Yep.
Because so much of making VR content is feeling what it looks like.
Right.
And it's very hard to do, like I was saying on the panel, it's very hard to do that through a TV screen.
Sure.
Because although you can make amazing art, you can't feel what it's going to feel like in front of you.
Right.
I'm sure you've had this experience where you watch a demo like on the repeater screen, and then you go in the demo and it feels very different than what you saw. Like, you know, the story or the sequence or whatever, you're like, oh, the shark looks totally different than it does on the screen. So, like, it seems obvious, maybe only in retrospect, that to make the things, you should be making them directly in the way that you're...
I mean, it makes sense, because you want to know where to kind of spatially put things and kind of know where they kind of fit, and also know, like, your body in conjunction to where the things are around you and how it actually moves. Yeah, makes sense.
So I think, like, to us, it seems obvious to me that, maybe I'm wrong on this, but, like, it seems that when people start to really get into lots of VR prototyping, it's going to seem obvious in retrospect that the tools just need to work in VR.
Yeah.
And I think you're seeing this already. Like, I think Carmack's been tweeting about like how he's coding in the headset. It's actually just that if you imagine Developer's Day, 8 hours a day doing VR, it's like you're doing a whole lot of this.
Right.
Like you're coding here, and then you're putting the headset on.
See if it's working, right.
And one of the big sort of changes that has happened recently to game development is this idea to live update the game without rebooting it.
Right.
Like, I don't remember who. I think Rage maybe did a lot of stuff with textures and that and assets, and lots of these games that just sort of had this live injection. It was a bit of a movement, I think, and that sped up iteration times. Right, because now I can kind of iterate and do interesting things on the fly, and then you get the happy accidents in Bob Ross terms. You want the happy accidents because that's where the coolness comes. That's cool. I'm digging the
I see a happy accident everywhere I go.
Yeah. So you want that, and so like as we move more and more things into VR, we're going to want to move our tools into VR.
Right.
And that's essentially what Dreams is doing. It's like, in a way, for free, like, because we needed to do all of this work to make all the tools work with controllers and so forth. We did all that work, and now it's just going to work in VR. So that's kind of where that's heading.
I mean, it's one of those things that you don't. I mean, one, we're not thinking about it mostly as consumers because we're not building the tools, but we're building the game. But I think having you say that and having the demos that you guys have been doing as far as the developer streams that you've been doing and things like that, I'm kind of seeing a little bit of those things in real time happen. Of, okay, I'm making this object. I don't understand what it looks like over here until I walk around that object and kind of understand what it looks like. And I think that's probably gonna throw so many people off at first, but then once they kind of understand that is the way that you have to kind of think about yourself in 3D space, it's gonna help people kind of navigate that really.
I mean, that's how we interact with objects in general. Like, actually, here's like this mech that we made. Oh, do you want to show the? Can we show the sci-fi level? Yeah, we should play through that and just see something. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Sci-fi walk around, sci-fi walk around, and then we could do the metrics again.
Yeah, let me do that because then I can check on this really quick while everybody's still doing stuff and see how folks are doing in the chat.
Yeah. By the way, if people in chat have questions.
Yeah, if you have any questions, let's see if I can get stream up somewhere. See if I can do that.
Oh, those are all the levels. Oh, can we see them?
Oh, can we see them?
Can we see all the levels?
Exclusive.
Like that collection of levels. After this one, we can have the chat check it out.
What is going on? That looks.
Oh, we still got the angry imp.
The Shade Imp. I want that to be a GIF somewhere. Someone make that a GIF of the Shade Imp.
Crowdsource.
Imp giving so much. So
and the characters too.
It's like the angriest version of Dreams I've seen in the past. It's like everybody's just mad.
As angry as it gets.
Angry really bear, angry imp. Everybody, she's mad. She's in space. She's like, what is this space nonsense?
I'm in space.
So that was an interesting kind of interaction between the character and also the imp. The creation tool imp. Can you basically make things track each other also?
Oh yeah. So like. We do that to make the characters feel alive and they respond to the imp and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can make objects track other objects, and these are all kind of things that we're working through right now. I mean, so that's our core gameplay mechanic that we're kind of leaning on, is that the imp is a way you in the game. It's like your cursor. It's what does the creation. It's made of creativity, so to speak, and that's why it's glowing inside. And that's the metaphors that we're using, and one of the things that it can do in addition to that is possess characters.
Oh, that's right.
So in a way, like you just possess this character, and you can walk around, and you can pop out and do some creation.
It's so many small details that I'm looking at this, and it's on this gorgeous screen, and it all looks so beautiful. It's Space Drunk. Space Drunk is happening.
Yay! I'm in space.
I'm in space.
I love space.
In the space. It's that kind of stuff that just makes it all very, very interesting, and just the dynamics of how it looks, but also it still gives that kind of
check this bit out.
What is going on? That's nuts. That's awesome.
So you can think of the gameplay is a bit like jumping between characters and doing create and puzzles and like just tactile gameplay in the middle of it. And the characters in Dreams are what lets you get around. And like in this example, for you possess the mech, and you can use the mech to kind of break through this wall section. Because the spaceman can't do it. It's like Space Gorilla. It's too small. But the mech can just like knock all these objects down, and then keep walking. And that's how you get to the exit. So these are obviously pretty simple like ideas right now, but this is the kind of content that we use to explain to people how this is going to go down. One of the reasons we haven't shown huge swaths of levels is because we're still experimenting with a lot of these mechanics.
I'm sure you're still finding out things that you didn't even understand that you wanted to do before, like things that are coming out of kind of left field that you were just like, whoa, how did that kind of come to be?
Yeah, and there's lots of things that sound like good ideas and aren't. Frankly speaking, like it sounds really good on paper, and then you try and you're like.
I mean, you kind of touched on a little bit of that during the panel, which was kind of also really refreshing to hear. Of just how do you get to a place where the tools also are usable, but also kind of come across in a way we've hit a threshold where both VR and kind of creation tools like this have less of a learning curve. Well, that learning curve is easy to kind of get across, or we have the kind of language to kind of talk about where we're going to hit those kinds of thresholds. And it feels like there's already kind of a written language in Dreams, a non-verbal language in Dreams of how to kind of navigate a space, and also kind of how to. You
mean like the movement and possession and
that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think on the tool side of things, like what we really want is this ability for you to express your style, your own personal style.
Sure.
And that's very hard to do inside a package that's making your brain think very hard about details.
Right.
So like, if I try to model something in Blender or Maya or something, I spend so much of my brain power just to use, just to do these things precisely.
Sure.
And it's fundamentally, it's an excellent CAD tool. Like its lineage traces from AutoCAD and engineering. Like, 3D Studio Max, Autodesk. These were all originally engineering packages.
Yeah. These are like architectural
packages, or like car whatever, AutoCAD. And that's a place. Yeah, it's cool.
Whoa. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You cut you off with the whoa because that's nuts. But
see the planes in the back.
But here's the thing too: is like the versatility just of how many different things we've seen in the small amount of time that we've just been watching is astounding. It's like in the. We talk about it in terms of that water. Those water kind of animations semi-apply to a tornado in this way,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And you see how they all kind of wrap themselves around, and it's like now you get into a semi scary kind of war scene with what's happening here.
Yeah, and you can sort of see the thing we want to try is we need the artist to come across. So this is like done by Francis, and I can tell the characters are done by Francis just because of the style.
No. That's kind of that's gonna be me after PSX. That's gonna be my emote for life after PSX happens. We had a couple of questions actually that just popped into the chat. Thanks folks for asking questions. Fireburn had a question as well. He said there's shifting cameras, but can you have a camera assigned to follow behind and rotate with analog just like in normal?
Yeah, that's what John's doing now. So like when you possess the bear, you can rotate the camera around. This is basically the default third-person camera.
Okay.
So possessing a character or a vehicle or an apple, like all of these things, you can set what camera you want, but by default you probably get something like a third-person camera. And then we'll have other cameras you can choose from, so just to kind of mess with.
Okay. Let's see. Zora TX. Also, that's a whoa. Zora GXT. Sorry, I botched that. so can we create without using any of the motion controls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a mode that's in like the non-camera DualShock mode, and that actually. So the way it works is like.
Sorry. Funk banana.
Oh, and it still has bits you can create with. That's cool. Interesting. Oh, that's a cool scene. So we have lots of different control modes. Like obviously we have like the move ones, the DS4 with the camera, and then we also have the DS4 no camera mode.
Sure.
And in that one we actually map the angle, because we still have the gyros even if you don't have a camera.
Yeah.
And we use that to map to the position. And that's very useful because a lot of what you want is just have a cursor on the screen.
Mm.
You can basically think about that gyro mode as if you had like a mouse cursor, but better because you still have rotation and you still have analog sticks.
Right.
So that's a bit like, even that is already a step up above the mouse.
Sure.
And then you kind of go up and up from there as you add like tracking, you get more expressivity. But like, you know, the most chill version is like just kind of sitting there with the D-pad. And if you want to get more into it, you can use like the
Is there going to be stuff with the touchpad on the DS4?
Oh yeah, the DS4
well,
touchpad like lets you rotate the object that you're holding.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so we're still experimenting with different things, and like the imp mouth and eyebrows are controlled with the touchpad.
Nice.
So that's quite cool.
So up is happy, down is shade.
No,
I'm joking.
You draw the mouth on the touchpad. Yeah, so you can do quite. So it gives you a lot of expressivity.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like you do like question mark mouth or upside down D or whatever. Like that's communication is going to be a huge part. Like you can control the eyebrows.
Yeah.
So it's very expressive because one of the things we want to do is like, when we're in the same scene, you can like angrily look at this object. So it's again bigging up that communication aspect of the.
So
imp.
It's like Shade Imp plus Pink Swirls plus Kanye Bear equals I don't like your rock. Take your rock out of that spot. JGR9 asks, can we have some swimmable water similar to LBP2 in the game?
Swimmable water. We haven't done that yet. Didn't we have buoyancy at some point? Might have been gone. Did we? It's all a haze. So it's like there's a difference between particle water, which is I think what LVP had particle water, right? Like a fluid sim particle thing. I forget. I don't know. I wasn't around, so I don't know the tech exactly. I guess there's a difference between. Ooh, can you do the Cezanne one? Oh yeah, it's the other one.
Nice.
So there's kind of different types of water. The water we've been showing is the painterly water.
Yep.
And you can still within that system do buoyancy, like
okay.
bobbing. So the water isn't like particle simulated, but objects can float in it and move around. And then there's like full particle water, which is like the particles,
the physics that are actually bouncing off the actual.
So there's a variety of different kinds of things. So I would imagine that we want to have some kind of buoyancy and swimmage going on. But whether we go with the painterly water or the particles is still kind of a toss-up.
Yeah. Very cool. Let's see. Any other questions? Let's see. Fireburn95 asks, can you show the painting tool?
Painting tool? Can we paint inside these things, or is it? We'll show it. We'll show it a bit later.
We'll show it a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll do it afterwards.
We'll definitely get to that at some point. Let's see. Yeah, so folks are still kind of figuring their way through the chat.
Yeah.
So what?
It's got a piece missing from it. I just noticed. That's so morbid.
I didn't notice that she had a bite taken out. Oh, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. Why? That's just mean.
Yeah.
This is the pair cannibal stage. This is the pair cannibalism
Mike has
stage.
This is Mike's character, isn't it? Oh, Menlu. I thought Menlu did the scene and Mike did the. Oh, Menlu did the. Interesting. So Menlu has a dark side. Okay.
Raxor, I'm not sure how to necessarily ask that question, but they're asking, are you going to show how the logic works? I know in little
show what?
How the logic works. I know in LBP that there was a lot of kind of
chips and logic and
stuff like that. Is this how does that kind of work in Dreams? Is it a lot different?
The short answer is not ready yet.
Okay.
We basically had an iteration where we literally had the LBP logic.
Sure.
But for whatever reason, we just can't be okay with just doing the same thing.
Yeah, of course.
So we're trying different stuff on it. I guess we see LBP logic as like a way to, that's our safety net in a way. But we want to improve it substantially, and where we end up, it's ranged between like full-on scripting to something more, drawing based and whatever. But there's definitely going to be things you can do to program custom logic and gameplay. We haven't shown it.
Yeah.
We have some really exciting ideas in that area. I don't know.
Well, maybe
it's not that I don't want to share it. It's more just I don't want to say something that will end up getting canned or whatever. But we've been watching a lot of Strange Loop and like Brett Victor's talks and stuff. Like all that stuff is really like that live. We basically want to make the programming as live as possible.
Okay.
In the same way that we're trying to make the created part as performance-y as possible.
Sure.
And everything kind of, again, pulling you away from the analytic thing and trying to put you more in the moment.
Right.
And coding is the hardest thing because it's the most analytic thing. It's
right.
like you are doing logic.
How are you coding emotion directly while you're doing it in the same without it coming off as being what's the kind of word for it? Without it coming off kind of plasticky. You want it to be kind of intuitive in the way that you're thinking about, I guess, in the way that you're thinking about the characters and what they would do in the scenarios, as opposed to what are the logical tools that would get this action to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And that makes a lot of sense in trying to figure out how that works. So yeah, we'll hopefully hear more about that later.
Yeah, it's coming.
Later down the line. And I always have said, and kind of the reason I love what you guys do is the fact that I think, LBP and Dreams are pushing the platform in some whole crazy new direction that we haven't seen yet. And I think you guys have always been thinking 4 steps ahead of most folks, and kind of giving, the users at home, like this is user-generated content on crack.
Yeah.
And it's awesome in that respect because you guys are doing that kind of.
Yeah, Mark Healy calls it user-generated content because like you can actually make a UGC game inside Dreams.
Right.
To be fair, all the content we're showing today was made with the in-game logic system as it is now. So
awesome.
like, it's not, it's still authentic in the sense that we're not sort of cheating there. So like, there's already things like trigger zones and levers and stuff. Like all of that is wired up. We just haven't gotten it to a state where we're really like ready to say this is like something. It's just not that interesting to be honest.
Sure.
It's not that interesting to be. It's not. Yeah, we need to get it better still.
Sure. Who at the studio right now is making the most fun levels that you? who when you're like, oh, such and such is gonna make a level. All right, I'm not gonna make a level today because they made a level.
Well, everybody makes levels together.
Oh, nice.
So, people use each other's work, and the kind of the badge of the WoW moment it like varies day by day.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you'll see stuff like the John's heads were. You could kind of. We have these daily email things and sometimes weekly, and like people show like, here's what I did today or here's what I did this week, and you can kind of judge like every week the bar just keeps getting raised. Like John did these painterly heads, and all of a sudden it unlocked everybody's like understanding that we could do painterly faces, like, and that was a tough problem to crack for like a really long time.
I hear that kind of sentiment often in that Mario Maker segment where someone has figured out a way to use whatever tool that's already there, and then also figure out a way to use it in a new way that everyone is like, oh,
that's the.
And it seems like this is exactly.
Yeah.
Well, John's a master at everything.
Yeah.
So
there's that, and then John Beach mastered the painterly city look.
Huh.
He's a tradition. He's more like he's the one that painted these mechs and stuff. He's very mechanical. Like he's like, grid snap modules.
Sure.
But then he did like the most painterly city, and I was like, wow. And Menlu has been doing the Cezanne strokes look, and he's been sort of mastering that bit. And Francis characters and like basically these are the people on the screen. Can you show the people? So we have this team screen, and this
that's awesome.
Oh, the room, yeah. It's a team plus the room.
The room.
And basically, everybody has amazing stuff. It's like, it's all about just the style and what they're doing. So I know that if I want to look for, I don't know, like if I want to look for mech pieces, I'll have a really good chance of getting stuff from John Beach.
Okay.
So you just go to John Beach. But he also has the bear and stuff. And like,
right.
But like, he's got thousands of mech parts.
I love the fact that oh man, that's
just,
so
like,
cool.
You're like, cool. But Menlu will also have mech pieces.
Sure.
And Kareem will have mech pieces, but they're a very different flavor.
Yeah.
So you can just grab bits and mush them. So one of the things we want to really do is big up the creators.
Yeah.
I want to make it less about searching for a tree and more about searching for John's tree or searching for Maya's tree. Do you know what I mean? Or searching for John Beach's pieces or Peter Field's levels or like all of these people that I know them personally, and I know the bits that have wowed me from them.
Sure.
So anytime I need one of those, I'd rather just go to them. Like screw searching for it. Like So that's the.
I mean, we've seen that as well in the games that Media Molecule makes, is that there is this bubbling up to the top of content creators who people kind of look to kind of say, oh, okay, I know the next thing you're going to make is dope. So let me remember to come back and check out your stuff and
well, yeah, I mean that's how you buy. Like you don't go to a record shop and you're like, I mean, some people search literally dubstep, right?
Right.
which is cool, and like that is a. But when you go to a shop, you usually look for what your artist, right? You're like, I wanna see the latest like Beatles, the latest Hendrix or whatever,
right?
And you know, there's variations there. Some people sort by albums, some people sort by artists or whatever. But like fundamentally, people are a really good way of finding content, and I guess. A lot of search engines take the mentality that good stuff will bubble up.
Sure.
And then you attach the name to it.
Sure.
And that works, but sometimes it doesn't, like, bubble up. And so I think the mentality we're taking is we're going to bubble the people up rather than the content. And then you search the people to find stuff.
I like that.
So bigging up the community.
I like that. Because in the community that has been around WP games, I'm sure will be around this one, have been super intuitive as far as like picking up the tools, kind of understanding it, and then even and really helpful as well. Like folks who don't necessarily know how to do certain things, they can go on the forums, and I've seen them go on and other people's Twitch streams and things like that, and it's like, hey, how do you do that? And then people like, oh, I totally know how to do that. Let me walk you through some of that stuff. It sounds like you'll be able to kind of do a little bit of that stuff here too. Can you do content creation in cooperative means, or you can do that as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you can have a part and then build off of someone else's part.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can take like.
I hope I didn't ask that question before. I feel like
it makes total sense. Like I could take this forest level and I can add pieces to it, but I could also take this rock and add pieces to it.
Okay.
And the credit will still stay in the lineage of John. Like you'll still have, it will look like Anton got a rock from John and then added bits to it.
Okay.
So that's it's still attributed even if you kind of do it. Huh. And the thing that this is the play create thing that's hard to grasp is that when you play, you are actually creating with others. Right. That's actually what's happening. Like the character that you come in with is kind of like a change on my level.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's, when we're solving puzzles together, you moving objects is you creating in my level or us creating in somebody else's level. It's actually when you and I form like a party or something and we go and we play, I don't know, like Alex's Crazy Funhouse.
Right.
What's kind of happening under the hood is that funhouse is remixed for our purposes.
Sure.
And then we go nuts on it.
Right.
And at the end of that, there is the Alex Funhouse as played by Khalif and Anton. And that's a piece of content too. So like just by playing, you've made
awesome.
a weirdo creation. So like you never had to say, explicitly like remix and recreate. You just happen to kind of storm through it and you've made something. So that's what we mean by.
So you're kind of butterfly affecting other people's levels in some way.
Yeah, and of course their original is fine. Like we didn't trash it or whatever. But it's like a personal copy that we got, and so on and so forth.
Oh my goodness! So have you guys thought about or talked about? I'm sure you have. Some of the physical share on the controller. PS4 kind of level stuff that's like I have my share button.
Oh yeah.
How does some of that kind of stuff work in some of the mix? And if you can't talk about it, it's totally fine.
No, to be honest, we use share internally a lot.
Yeah.
As a way of just filing bugs. To be honest, like when John hits a problem, it's Kareem.
Oh yeah, it's Kareem.
See, he'll just like he'll just take a video and be like, look. What the hell? So that's the really practical thing. And then the other thing is like showing your stuff off. So like if somebody makes a level, they hit share and then they'll record a video and they just put it online. It's actually been really useful because then we don't have to put capture cards on everybody's desks. That's what you do in a regular game studio if you want to do that. So we use it internally a lot. So we imagine that the community will use it in the same way and like post it to YouTube or whatever. So yeah, absolutely. How that ties into Twitch, where like the tight the tight integration, like you were saying before, we're not.
Wait, is that Jimi Hendrix?
Oh yeah, that's.
Did someone make Jimi Hendrix? Who made Jimi Hendrix?
That's a good one too.
That's a really good Jimi Hendrix.
That's Menlu.
What is happening?
We have a really good Hendrix and a really good
Bruce.
Oh, Hendrix.
What is? Wow.
Oh God. That's dirty.
If you would,
if
you would like a Cloud/Fro/
Can you
Jimi
record that
Hendrix,
animation?
there is one in there.
Yeah, perfect.
That's kind
so
of
here's
amazing.
check this out. This is the animation tool.
Oh yes.
So all of animation is you just grab the object and you just do the same thing you would. And then when you stop, that's it. So you turn off record, and then you just rewind and you play it back, and that's what you did.
Jimmy's
I think
like,
you're probably
what
gonna start later.
up? Now Jimmy is scary. Jimmy just is like, what are you doing? Hey, what up? What y'all doing? I'm chilling here.
And it just loops.
I'm
so
chilling
now
here.
you got
He loops too. That's great.
Yeah.
It's the scariest Jimi Hendrix business I've seen in forever. I'm scared of you, Jimmy.
So yeah, so that's this is another interesting like tightly coupled thing is all of animation is just recording changes over time.
Sure.
So like you don't animate by saying, okay, now we're going to animate the position, now I'm going to animate the color, now I'm going to animate whatever. You just turn on record and then you use the tool and everything you've done is recorded and then it's played back. So that's all you need to know about animation. Like there isn't an animation tool.
That's
like
awesome.
The tool is fundamentally something you can record. So I can.
So it's like Kanye Bear. You want to animate him. You take the controller, move his arms around, do what you want to do, stop the recording, and then that's the animation for that. Someone was asking about that in terms of like, could you give a basically a leveled animation? Like, could you make an object flip, and then make the object flip, and then that would be the animation for that thing. So you like maybe hit a button and like now
triggering animation.
Like a triggered animation.
Yeah, we use that for a few levels. It's a little bit half-baked at the moment, but essentially once you've recorded an animation from the script or the gadget or whatever, you can trigger it. Just in the same way that you have like a sequencer in LBP or like an enable bit, you can just like turn on the animation, it'll play. And you can do that to parts, so you can like enable just the arm bit or whatever. So that's the part we're still trying to make really flowy. Technically it's there, but we want to make it really easy to sort of do that in the moment, so you can put together these levels.
Let's see if there's any other questions in the chat. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us. This has been so much fun.
Yes.
You guys have been asking some really good questions too. And mind you, I'm sorry the stream is a little bit delayed.
Like
plus
really
the
good,
Wi-Fi in here isn't amazing. So if I missed stuff,
like
I apologize about that.
Do you know how they have those Gorgon heads?
Yeah, if there's any questions you have for Anton or John, let me know.
No,
and we'll figure that out. And you already have one sale.
Oh
so,
yeah.
Yeah. Zebra. I think Zebra said that he or she or they are ready to buy Dreams already. So thank you for that already pre-saled sale. Nicely done. I'm trying to think. I know you went into a couple of the other parts of the game where you showed how quickly you can kind of move from scene to scene.
Yeah.
Are there ways that okay, here's a quick question. Will you be able to kind of connect multiple scenes? I saw that there was like the doorways that kind of connect scenes together. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have portals that you can just put into the level, and those portals can lead you to other dreams.
Okay.
So that's how we were doing maybe you could show the forest thing again. We could just show that off. So one of the interesting things about the forest level is that it has lots of different portals in it. So it's one level, but it can lead to many others. So it's a bit like a hub. And each one so it's basically portals. That's the simple thing.
Sure.
But because we have the search engine, we can actually link to random things as well.
Huh.
So you can make a dream in which when you go through a door, it goes to a random dream.
What?
And that's what gives you that dream surfing vibe.
What are you talking about?
We're trying to kind of simulate some of that. It's obviously locked and not random for, our presentation because we need to do it on stage live. But kind of, you can imagine that in this forest, somebody put down. There's actually maybe you could just walk by all the different portals because we've hidden a lot of different portals. Awesome. There's a portal hidden in there. The bear can't go in because he's too big.
Really? So that actually is a determining factor, and if you can get
if you can go through it, you can go through it.
Huh.
So you have to get the little grasshopper fairy king. Oberon. So you have to possess that character to go into that portal. And there's a character up top there, like on the balcony treehouse area. So it's kind of like you can walk through this dream and you can just go into the first portal, but if you explore a bit, that portal will see that with the peace logo, that will take you to the war scene. And there's a portal on the right, I think. There's like a manhole cover. And I actually don't remember where that is.
I'm blown away by
That's a sci-fi level. So you can kind of make a hub level. And of course, like random is kind of cool, and it's like maybe it's a bit interesting at times, and you'll be able to do this dream surf thing. But actually, a subtly interesting one is you can actually link not to random, but you can link to a random dream that matches the search term desert. So you could say, hey, search for a desert, and go to that.
Okay.
So you have a bit of a narrative, like you can say this level goes to the desert or this goes to an underwater scene, but it's random in the sense that the search results will return you something that you may or may not expect. We went into the limbo level. This is probably a good place to.
So it looks like we went into the ultimate dreamscape. we are in. Yes, it's so minimalist we can't see it. Yeah, so you know these things happen.
So Dreamlink. So we can, we'll just
while we get things restarted and together.
But basically you can imagine that, or you can say, hey, you know what? I want you to go to a random dream, but I want you to pick from these 4 levels. Maybe you made like 4 different forests. So you can imagine doing like a roguelike or like a randomly generated game by saying, okay, I made 4 forest pieces, and this door leads to one of them.
Sure.
And, you know, you make that all kind of work out. So the portals have some tricksiness to them.
Nice.
But you could obviously just link one dream to the next, to the next, to the next, and then you make like a traditional kind of storyline thing or a branching storyline or whatever it is.
So again, I think this is probably going to be one of the. I think again when I said, you know, I think Dreams as a platform, because it's kind of a platform and a game in a lot of ways. It's a tool set and it's a game. Is going to do a lot of really interesting things on Twitch and how it's going to kind of affect the community in a lot of different ways that we don't necessarily know yet. And I think it'll be really kind of fun to see what people come up with. The beautiful parts that I am enamored with is just the fact that everything is so different in the way that they kind of play themselves out, both in the dreams themselves, but also the small touches that you all have thought about in the ways that you want your community to kind of interact with you.
Yeah.
Also, while in the game, have people kind of give each other ways and hints and tips that they can kind of move around the space. But also, it's goddamn cute. It's pretty.
Yeah.
And it's interesting in ways that are just like very minute. They're just like, hey, let me draw this mouth on my imp. Yeah. And that is so it emotes in this way that brings people into the game.
Responsible for Paulo, yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking the original ideas, but Paulo's been slaving over the M, so I don't feel bad.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Paulo did the work. Yeah.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah, let's get it back in.
It's very, very cool.
Or unless it's up to you. I mean, this is a natural place to sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. I can
cut it off. Unless the stream has more questions we could ask.
My phone is about to die, so I won't be able to find the thing.
Yeah, well, it seems like.
If you have more questions, you know what you can do. You can actually send them to us via Twitch. Via Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Shoot us some stuff at SpawnOnMe on Twitter.
Yeah.
At Khajahkins, KHJHKINS. I can't think of things really quickly. Or you can do it on the SpawnOn.me page. You can do that as well. Hit us up on the podcast. We're going to talk about this, especially because you guys are awesome. And hopefully we can switch with you guys again, and hopefully you should come on the show and come hang out with us and talk about VR, dreams, and everything else, and talk about Kanye Bear and being the thuggish.
That's the new name.
The thuggish bear that he is with the what up arms. What up? What up, Kanye Bear arms? So John, Anton, thank you so much for letting me rock with you guys on our stream, because that's kind of crazy and amazing. So,
right on.
So guys, give these folks some love on Twitter. If you guys want to share out your Twitters, if you have them. If you don't, that's totally fine. If worse comes to worse, we'll figure out ways for you guys to all kind of hang out and chat and talk about stuff.
I'm Antovsky on Twitter.
Antovsky?
It's like at Antovsky. I don't know. You'll find it if you search. I'm bad at spelling. And
at X and Y, and that's ECKS and then WHY.
Yep.
That was better explained than yours.
Much better.
That was way
Go
better.
to his Twitter and then search somehow like something that looks like my Twitter.
So check out, follow the stream, follow us at all the places that you possibly can. We're on iTunes and all the other good stuff if you haven't checked out our show before. And we'll see you guys in a bit. So thanks, guys.